No one in the family was allowed to touch Uncle Joe's equipment, but one day I got into trouble for playing with his 31 band EQ, and he walked into the room and my aunt said, "Don't touch that stuff, that's Uncle Joe's." And Uncle Joe said, "No, it's okay, Tom can use it." They said, "Why are you gonna let him play with that?" He said, "He's not playing with it, he's using it. Look at what he's doing. He's actually fascinated by it." And since that day, he was right. I love technology almost as much as I love sound. Getting to work in a career where I have access to high-end and new technology all the time that someone else is responsible for paying for is an absolute dream. Even at a young age, I knew that I wanted to revolve my life around sound and technology. It just took a long time to figure out how that was going to work.
Listening to music with Tom is an interesting exercise. You peek behind the curtain. Sometimes it's not as much fun for the listener, I think. But he is an audiophile. Tom likes the sound of sound. He's in the pursuit of audio experience. I've seen him go to a football game, not to enjoy the game, but to capture the audio of the moments or the crowd. He's one of the few people that sometimes is turned backwards to the action on the field. He loves audio, and that was really brought up here and manifested itself during his time at Full Sail University as a student and then eventually as faculty.
So just after I got out of school, my first job was an internship at Crescent Moon Studios in Miami. And I'll never forget that internship. I spent as much time there as I was allowed to until they would basically ask me to leave. And I made a habit of getting there close to an hour early every morning just because I didn't ever want to be late. A little neurotic, but it worked. So when I was just finishing my internship at Crescent Moon Studios, there was an engineer there. His name was Bob Rosa. He told me that he was opening his own recording studio and would I like to come and work for him. He taught me some really important lessons. The first night that I was working with Bob in the studio, and I remember around 8 p.m., asking Bob and saying, some friends of mine are meeting up. Do you know what time we're going to stay here till? He stared at me and he turned around to his desk, his back to me, and he didn't answer me. As years went on, I realized how important that lesson was, is that we're part of a project. We're part of a production. We work as a team and we leave as a team, or we wait until the project is done at the end of the night. I was part of a production team that really never stopped. I would get comments from people that I knew like, "This is crazy. How can you work like this?" And I thought, what do you mean? I'm lucky. I know people that are looking for work and I'm so busy I can't do anything but work. So I felt very privileged at the time. After a few years, the hours were just more than I was willing to do. I came to a point where I realized even if I could become as prosperous as someone like Bob was, I would probably still be working those same hours. And although I loved working in the studio, it just wasn't the right thing for me at that point. So I made the decision to move on, which was extremely difficult because I absolutely love working in the recording studio. It was like walking away from a dream. How could you do that? But sometimes you have to recalibrate, and that's what I did. I've been playing video games my entire life, since I was a little kid. Never thought that maybe I could do what I did in the studio on video games, but I realized there was so many connections between the two that it was certainly worth a try. And it's something that I share with people as often as I can that are in our industry, that there are infinite number of ways to recalibrate and reinvent yourself with your prior knowledge and make something new out of it. Old Turkish quote, which is one of my favorite quotes ever, which says, "No matter how far down the wrong road you've traveled, just turn back." And that was what I had to do. But I don't regret anything about it because it taught me so much about working with people and about how you can push yourself further than maybe you had ever realized.